This is a report analyzing George Will's examination of current political developments. Donald Trump recently had what could only be characterized as a total meltdown on Truth Social, one so extreme that GOP legislators have started openly demanding his resignation. What triggered this explosive response? Simply a standard budget hearing where his own party members questioned whether he had the composure required to manage presidential responsibilities. The messages that came afterward were so profoundly disturbing, so filled with intimidation aimed at current Congress members, that even his staunchest supporters have begun creating distance. It's genuinely hard to grasp that we're watching this happen in the present moment. This extends well beyond another unfortunate social media incident or typical Trump tantrum. We're discussing actual Republican senators and House members, people who have supported him through literally everything, now declaring openly that maybe the moment has arrived for Trump to stand down. And trust me, when your own party colleagues start doubting your capability for office after one of your episodes, something fundamental has changed in America's political terrain. Let me guide you through what's transpired. The House Budget Committee held sessions on December 3rd concerning federal spending allocations for the next fiscal year. This should have been standard, the typical procedural business that Congress handles annually. Republican committee members were merely raising questions about Trump's budget proposal, trying to comprehend the figures and how different reductions might impact their constituencies. Nothing unusual, nothing aggressive, just representatives fulfilling their responsibilities. Based on a Politico article from December 3rd, Representative Tom Cole from Oklahoma, a long-standing Trump ally and Appropriations Committee chairman, asked a simple question regarding proposed agricultural subsidy cuts and their possible effects on farming communities. It was a valid inquiry from someone representing agricultural districts. But here's where things shifted. Trump evidently monitored the hearing in real time and perceived Cole's question as disloyalty, as a personal assault, as treachery from someone expected to be supportive. And before proceeding, let's acknowledge something. Presidents receive questions from their own party constantly. It's called legislative accountability. It's literally Congress's constitutional obligation. But Trump has never managed to differentiate between legitimate inquiries and personal antagonism. Here's where circumstances become especially noteworthy. Based on various journalists tracking Trump's Truth Social presence, within half an hour of Cole's question, Trump started posting. The initial post targeted Cole specifically, branding him a weak rhino who never genuinely backed the MAGA movement. Then another post appeared, then another. By evening, Trump had published 17 different attacks, each more erratic than the previous. According to CBS News coverage from December 3rd, Trump's messages evolved from political attacks into personal intimidation. He branded Cole a betrayer who deserved to be challenged in primaries. He implied Cole was possibly receiving payments from lobbying groups. Then he shifted to criticizing other Republicans who raised budget concerns, identifying them by name and demanding their committee removals. The shocking development came in Trump's nighttime posts. Based on CNN's tracking of his social platforms, Trump stated that Congress members questioning him are adversaries of the American public and should experience repercussions. He employed phrases like, "They must be handled and patriots understand what's necessary." Legal professionals immediately identified these messages as potentially encouraging violence toward current legislators. This wasn't political discourse. This was a former and sitting president seemingly threatening lawmakers for performing their constitutional function. This created tremors throughout Capitol Hill because it exposed something Republicans had tried avoiding. Trump cannot tolerate even gentle resistance from his own party. When your committee leader can't pose fundamental budget inquiries without sparking a several-hour breakdown involving implicit threats, that's not governance. That's chaos. The response from Republican officials was swift and extraordinary. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, who has challenged Trump previously, released a statement on December 4th describing his conduct as unacceptable and suggesting serious discussions about whether Trump should remain in office. That alone would be notable. But she had company. Based on MSNBC's congressional correspondence, Senator Mitt Romney advanced even further, declaring publicly that Trump's messages were hazardous, possibly unlawful, and that the president should resign for America's benefit. Romney characterized Trump's actions as endangering democratic processes and said Republicans could no longer dismiss what was occurring. Now, this isn't our first observation of Trump erupting at his own party members who questioned him. Just examine how he turned against Mitch McConnell following the 2020 election. McConnell had been among Trump's most valuable supporters, approving judges, preventing Democratic bills, protecting Trump during impeachment. But when McConnell recognized Biden's win and declined supporting Trump's fraud allegations, Trump attacked him for months. He labeled McConnell a dour, grim, cheerless political operator. He dubbed him Old Crow. He actively attempted recruiting primary opponents against McConnell associates. All that dedication, all those years of backing meant precisely nothing once McConnell wouldn't compromise his constitutional commitment. Then consider his handling of Mike Rounds, South Dakota's senator. Rounds represents conservative and pro-Trump ideology thoroughly, a dependable supporter of Trump's platform on everything. But during January 2022, Rounds mentioned in an interview that the 2020 election was honest and valid. That was sufficient. One accurate statement regarding election legitimacy. Trump instantly released a statement branding Rounds foolish, unintelligent, and a Reno. He claimed Rounds would never have won without Trump's backing. For speaking truth once, Rounds became opposition. And we shouldn't overlook what befell Liz Cheney. She supported Trump exceeding 90% during his administration. She held the third-ranking Republican House leadership position, a devoted conservative with flawless Republican credentials. But she voted for Trump's impeachment following January 6th and participated in the investigative committee examining the incident. Trump made eliminating her political future his individual objective. He supported a primary opponent, fought against her relentlessly and successfully expelled her from Congress. Her offense was valuing constitutional responsibility above personal devotion to Trump. Even Kevin McCarthy learned that Trump loyalty has boundaries. McCarthy actually traveled to Mar-a-Lago post-January 6 to restore his Trump connection. He protected Trump continuously, prevented investigations, provided Tucker Carlson exclusive January 6 material access, everything Trump desired. But when hardline Trump followers removed McCarthy as Speaker, Trump didn't intervene to help. Years of complete devotion gained McCarthy nothing when he genuinely required Trump's assistance. Now Tom Cole and additional Budget Committee participants join this roster. The sequence is clear. You can demonstrate Trump total allegiance, support his platform continuously, protect him through every scandal, but once you perform your genuine legislative function, once you raise a question or mention an uncomfortable reality, Trump considers it betrayal and attacks you with maximum force. So what precisely did Trump post that crossed from political criticism into dangerous ground? Let's examine this. According to legal professionals who analyze the posts, Trump's wording contains multiple components raising significant concerns. First, he repeatedly used the term traitors describing elected representatives. In Trump's historical rhetoric, labeling someone a traitor has frequently preceded violence against that individual by his followers. When Trump brands someone a traitor, his supporters interpret it as authorization to target them. Second, Trump stated these officials must be handled and indicated that patriots understand what's required. Legal commentators inform CNN that such language, particularly aimed at specific people by someone with Trump's audience, might constitute incitement. It's not an outright violence demand, but it's definitely implying his supporters should act against identified individuals. Now here's the critical part. Trump also shared the office contact information of multiple lawmakers he was criticizing, along with encouragement for supporters to inform them what genuine Americans believe. Within hours, based on congressional office reports, those legislators received countless threatening communications. Staff reported callers claiming the representative should be executed for treason, should be assassinated, should remain vigilant. Capitol Police needed to enhance protection for various members given the quantity and intensity of threats. This positioned Republican leadership in an exceptionally challenging situation. On one hand, they must preserve their Trump relationship and his supporter base. The MAGA faction within the party wields enormous influence, and publicly opposing Trump can terminate political careers. Republican primaries succeed or fail based on Trump's endorsement. The base demands complete Trump loyalty, and any criticism appears as betrayal. Neither choice is politically sustainable without substantial consequences. Legal and political observers note Trump's posts may have entered criminal territory. Joyce Vance, previous U.S. attorney and present legal commentator, appeared on MSNBC December 4th and clarified that threatening Congress members to affect their official duties is a federal offense. She mentioned that while Trump possesses First Amendment rights to criticize lawmakers, instructing his followers to target particular people with language, suggesting they require handling potentially breaches. Title 18 U.S. Code Section 115, prohibiting federal official threats. Andrew Weissman, former FBI General Counsel and Mueller investigation prosecutor, proceeded further. He informed audiences that Trump's threat posting pattern followed by supporter actions establishes a direct connection. Weissman referenced January 6th as the strongest example. Trump instructed supporters to fight. They fought. Trump commanded them to march toward the Capitol. They marched. When Trump says lawmakers require handling, people following his directions will try handling them. Even certain conservative legal commentators expressed concern. Jonathan Turley, the George Washington University law professor who supported Trump through various controversies, mentioned on Fox News that Trump's posts were irresponsible and potentially criminal. He stated that presidents cannot utilize their position to intimidate Congress, and that Trump's particular language regarding patriots understanding what's necessary was hazardous given the violence already witnessed from Trump supporters. So let's examine what this might signify, because it's not merely another Trump scandal. It carries serious implications for governance, party cohesion, and democratic standards. First comes the immediate governing emergency. How does Congress perform oversight when posing questions triggers presidential collapses and death threats? Republican members must now consider whether fulfilling constitutional obligations justifies the personal danger to themselves and families. That's not functional democracy. That's intimidation-based rule. Based on Politico's December 5th reporting, multiple Republican committee members privately informed leadership they're reconsidering their readiness to conduct hearings or pose difficult questions. They have families. They've observed what happens when Trump targets individuals. The danger isn't hypothetical anymore. Regarding wider political consequences, this is generating a genuine Republican Party division. You've got the MAGA supporters believing any Trump criticism equals betrayal, and that threatened lawmakers likely deserve it for insufficient loyalty. Then you've got conventional conservatives believing in constitutional governance, power separation, and congressional accountability. These two groups are increasingly irreconcilable. Moderate Republicans and those in competitive areas are watching colleagues receive death threats for performing duties. Some genuinely question whether political careers are worthwhile. Others quietly contemplate whether they can keep enabling Trump's actions. But beyond the immediate political emergency, this concerns basic democratic foundations. Congress is a co-equal governmental branch. Legislators should question, investigate, and oversee the executive. When a president answers oversight with intimidation and threats, when followers target lawmakers with violence, the entire constitutional framework collapses. If this conduct becomes normalized, if Trump experiences no accountability for threatening Congress members, then we've created a precedent that presidents can intimidate the legislative branch into compliance. That's not a law-based republic. That's authoritarian control. This entire situation is causing alarm throughout establishment Republican networks. Based on New York Times December 5th reporting, various Republican senators conducted an emergency session to address what they privately termed the Trump situation. Meeting attendees, speaking without attribution, mentioned genuine worry that Trump's behavior is deteriorating and that the party must decide whether to keep defending him or whether protecting democracy demands they publicly separate from him. The difficulty is that Trump's separation likely means losing their upcoming primary, but continuing enabling his conduct means witnessing American democracy decline in real time. It's an impossible decision, and time is running out. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Democrats are observing this Republican internal conflict with mixed concern and strategic thinking. They're genuinely troubled about congressional threats and wider governance implications, but they're also recognizing this as a significant political advantage. When Republicans demand Trump's resignation, when his party members receive death threats for posing budget questions, Democrats don't need building the anti-Trump argument. Republicans are constructing it themselves. Circumstances intensified when Trump reinforced his position. Rather than retreating after initial criticism, Trump posted again December 5th, this time attacking the Republican senators who demanded his resignation. He branded Romney a complete failure and stated Murkowski was always a betrayer who should be removed from the party. He then posted that any Republican demanding his resignation is politically finished and will encounter primary opposition from authentic America First candidates. This reaction revealed everything regarding Trump's mentality. Rather than acknowledging he'd overstepped, rather than trying to calm situations or rebuild relationships, Trump's reflex was attacking harder, threatening more intensely, and demanding total obedience. It's about considerably more than Trump's recent social media breakdown. It's about whether elected representatives can perform their constitutional responsibilities without experiencing presidential threats and crowd violence. If Trump can intimidate Congress into silence through threats and attacks, then we've abandoned the power separation, making democratic government functional. This isn't simply about one volatile president. It's about whether America's constitutional framework can endure a leader who considers any questioning as betrayal and any oversight as justification for punishment. The question is whether we're a law-based nation where all officials, including presidents, are responsible to constitutional procedures, or whether we're moving toward a framework where power is sustained through loyalty, intimidation, and violence threats. So here's the situation. Donald Trump answered routine budget questions from his party by initiating a multi-day social media campaign that included apparent congressional threats, causing Republican lawmakers to publicly demand his resignation for the first time. This isn't simply about Trump having a difficult day or being sensitive regarding criticism. It's about whether Congress can operate as a co-equal governmental branch when the president answers oversight with threats generating death threats against legislators. When your own party members are suggesting you should resign because your conduct endangers democratic governance, we've reached genuinely unprecedented circumstances. If Trump experiences no repercussions for this, if he can keep threatening lawmakers who pose questions, then we're establishing that presidents transcend congressional oversight and can govern through intimidation. That would signify the constitutional checks and balances system has collapsed. So monitor this. Additional Republican lawmakers are reportedly weighing whether to join resignation demands. Trump's posts stay active, and his followers keep targeting the lawmakers he identified. Capitol Police are observing threats and assessing whether extra security protocols are necessary. The consequences have never been more critical, the threats never more explicit, and congressional independence's future never more questionable.